Hello and welcome. You're watching To The Point. The Cabinet has agreed to pass one more ordinance. This time it's to amend the Mining and Minerals Development and Regulation Act. However, this is the 8th ordinance issued by the Modi government in less than 8 months. Is that understandable, or is it an abuse of the ordinance facility? That's the debate in part 2. But first, the defence ministers claim that the crew on the alleged terror boat were in contact with the Pakistan Army has taken many people by surprise. First, it was made 5 days after the incident. Then it was revealed almost inconsequentially. But most importantly of all, it alleges the involvement of the Pakistani state in an attempted terror attack on India. So tonight we ask, how good is the evidence to make this claim? And if it's true, has the Indian government responded appropriately, or have its actions and behavior been contradictory, if not also confusing? That's the first debate tonight. And now joining me to discuss the claim that the Pakistan Army could be behind the alleged terror boat is the Strategic Affairs Editor of the Indian Express, Praveen Swami, former Foreign Secretary Lalit Mansingh, the Strategic Affairs Editor of the Business Standard, Ajay Shukla, and BJP spokesperson, Shaina NC. Praveen Swami, yesterday in a front-page story in your paper, The Indian Express, you claimed that the terror boat was a vessel called the Qalandar, captained by a certain Yaqoob Baloch, a resident of Liari, a gang war-infested part of Karachi, and linked to a certain Mir Yaqoob Bazenjo, a Pakistani who is involved in drug and alcohol smuggling. Now, since you made that claim yesterday, the Defence Minister has said that the people on the boat were in touch with the Pakistan Maritime Security Agency, but much more importantly, he said they were in touch with the Pakistan Army. How do you respond to the Minister's revelations? Praveen Swami?
Karan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead. I can hear you.
Karan, I'm obviously not in a position to comment on what the minister, the intelligence on the basis of which the minister has based these claims. But I will say this opens up a rather large can of worms. The first question that would arise in my mind is what the substance of these conversations were and who they were with. It's imperative that we have some disclosure on this, because if the Pakistan Army is once again conniving with terrorists who mean this country harm, it's an extremely serious matter. The second point that I find very intriguing is that this has found no mention in any of the government statements, including a definitive Ministry of Defence press release up till now. And the final slightly mystifying point in all this is, if it is true, why the government has still, up till now, not had a word to say to the Pakistan High Commission or to the Pakistan government protesting what would be an absolutely extraordinary attack on India.
One other quick question before I go to my other guests. Are you surprised by the way the minister made this public? He did it en passant. It was tucked into one of many other remarks that he was making. It wasn't highlighted. It wasn't given any great prominence. It was just in passing said. Are you surprised by the way he made it public?
I am extremely surprised. They should have been top of the lead. It should have been right up there. Pakistani official connivance in what the ruling describing as a 26/11 type terrorist attack is no small matter. A casual sort of passing reference is, to my mind, completely perplexing. Perhaps Mr. Parikar has a good explanation, but I think the country is entitled to hear it. It just won't do to let this pass in this way.
Now, Mr. Mansingh, if you look at the full statement made by Mr. Parikar, he frankly admits that he's A, going by circumstantial evidence, B, he says he's not sure what precise activity the boat could have been involved in, and C, he admits that these are suspected or possible terrorists. Those are the exact words he uses. All of that sounds tentative and unconfirmed. So does this also mean that the claim that these people on the boat were in touch with the Pakistan Army is equally tentative and unconfirmed? Or would that bit be solid proof-based?
Well, frankly, I don't see anything in the government's report that would make one cast a shadow on the credibility of the government. The minister's statement is hedged with, probable, tentative, unconfirmed and so on. So you can't accuse him of making a statement of which he is not sure. Obviously he is not sure. But look at the facts of the case.
Can I interrupt there? If he's obviously not sure about what he's saying, is it worth saying it at all?
No, there is a story there. The story starts with the NTRO picking up intelligence, then alerting the Navy and the Coast Guards. They send a vessel, they find the two suspected vessels, they intercept them, challenge them. All this is part of the story. So I don't see why people are surprised and intrigued.
So
and to say
you're not surprised by the fact that the minister has alleged that the Pakistani state, in the shape and form of the Pakistan Army, is involved in an alleged attempt at terror. But he's done it casually, in a very passing fashion, without highlighting it. And he's done it on the basis of tentative, unconfirmed information, which he admits.
I think we should understand here, what is being done is to apply presumed guilt to the government and presumed innocence to the Pakistanis. I think, knowing the Pakistanis' track record,
it should be the other way around.
It should be the other way around. If there are suspicious vessels picked up on the basis of intelligence.
And you yourself expressed it on this channel last night, that the Coast Guard, A, perhaps misinterpreted the intelligence they got, and B, as a result, overreacted. Tonight, or last night rather, do you think the minister was doing the honourable thing and covering up for the Coast Guard?
It seems so. He has gradually, moved a little way forward day by day, making his statements slightly stronger every day, slightly more supportive of the Coast Guard. But he has still not come out with an unequivocal statement of support that says it was a terror boat, it was a legitimate operation, and the death of 4 Pakistani citizens were because they were planning a terror attack on India. I have still to hear a statement like that. Now 6 days, or at least 5 days, depending on whether you count that night, have elapsed since that attack. How long does it take to transcribe a phone conversation or a Thuraya phone intercept, as it was in this case? How long does it take to actually accumulate the burden of proof and bring it together and present it to the Indian public? Or is it the case that they believe that the Indian public you can pull the wool over the Indian public's eyes much more easily than you can pull the wool over Pakistan's, and that's why they're giving one narrative to the Indian public, but not being able to accuse the Pakistan government officially of what they're telling the Indian government has happened? Why this complete dichotomy, 2 languages being spoken, one to India and the other to Pakistan? Actually, they're not saying anything to Pakistan.
That's very true. Let me bring you in at that point, China NC. When the defense minister says that the boat was in contact with the Pakistan Army and adds that the people on the boat are suspected or possible terrorists, he's clearly accusing the Pakistan Army of being involved in an alleged terror attempt on India. Now, 3 quick questions. A, how come he waited 5 days to reveal this? 2, why did he reveal it in such a casual, passing way without highlighting it? It was one of many things that were tucked into the remarks he was making rather than made specifically and highlighted. And 3, he's done it in a way in which he's created more suspicion, doubt and concern rather than conviction. How do you answer all of that?
Karanji, for starters, I don't think you can question the credibility of the Raksha Mantri. If at all kind of question marks and suspect would be on Pakistan, whether the army is involved, whether this was a terror conspiracy, etc. And I'd like to quote what the defense minister said. He said that too much speculation is going on and advised all to wait and watch till the investigations are completed. However, because of repeated questions from public, and rightly so, and from various segments of society, he, as the defense minister, had to give a certain statement, which I think was only fair. He didn't say that I am 100% sure it was this or it was that. He did comment on how incredible our intelligence agencies are, and some things are confidentiality and they should be kept confidential.
Can I interrupt?
You cannot have...
Can I pick up on something you've said? You said that he wasn't 100% sure, and that's absolutely accurate, because he himself is saying that these are suspected, probable. He's saying he's relying on circumstantial evidence. He's saying he's not at all certain what activity the boat was up to. But then if he's not 100% sure, should he be accusing by name the Pakistan Army of involvement? Because that has diplomatic repercussions, international repercussions, and it affects international relations. So should he have gone that extra step when he's not 100% sure?
There are 2 points here. Number one, the people on the boat were suspected terrorists. Intercepts revealed that they were in regular communication with the Pakistan Maritime Agency. The Coast Guard did a commendable job. That's a foregone. But at the same time, intercepting the boat after tracking it for over 12 hours, they arrived that this was a conversation which was going on with Pakistan, and there was another tone being used here. Now, if we don't have faith in our government, and if we are going to question the defense minister repeatedly, I think it's highly unfair. You have lakhs and crores of Indians who are wanting to know what's going on.
Just a moment. You made your point. You've made your point. But now you're going beyond that to say that it's unfair to question a minister, particularly the defense minister. Actually, I think that's what journalists are there to do. And clearly the audience would like to get to the truth through questioning, so I think we have a legitimate right to do it. No one is questioning the man's credibility. No one's questioning the man's credibility. We're questioning, in fact, the efficacy and the manner in which the announcement was made. Let me bring in Praveen Swami. Praveen Swami, I presume the minister is relying on transcripts of satellite phone conversations which are in the possession of the NTRO. Now, would it be clear from these transcripts that the person on the other side was a Pakistan Army officer or possibly a Pakistan Army Jawan? Or is that an inference Indian agencies are drawing themselves?
Well, both things may be possible. If the number that was being called from the satellite, which was be logged and in the possession of the NTRO, can be shown credibly or in some fashion to have previously been used by a Pakistan military officer, or if the government has any material evidence to show the person at the other end of the line is a military officer, that will be compelling proof. We need to know what that is, though. I just want a couple of points. One being, Karan, that it's a little rich for the BJP spokesman to criticize people for calling out the defense minister. After all, the BJP itself did this, and very rightly. For the last defense minister we had. I see no reason why this defense minister should get a free pass when there are questions. And the second I want to make is, nobody is saying these individuals may not have been suspected terrorists. But it wasn't very many weeks ago that the Indian Army itself rightly punished some officers for shooting up a thought for terrorists who turned out to be unarmed teenagers. Yeah. Prime Minister Narendra Modi not very long ago rightly took credit for punishing military officers involved in fake encounters. If there's been some chicanery or faking here, it's in the national interest for that also to be known.
I take your point, Praveen. Let me stop you there. The line is not a very good line, but I'll stop you there. I'll just clarify for the audience, while you're making a good point, it's not the case that this is being accused of as a fake encounter. Let's make that clear to the audience. We're not making that point at all, and I don't believe you intend to make that point either. We're not saying this is a fake encounter. Let me make that clear. But let me bring up another aspect of this that also adds to the concern or maybe the doubts. What do you make of the fact that on the one hand, the defense minister claims that the Pakistan Army is involved in an attempted terror attack on India, but on the other, our government hasn't lodged a protest with Pakistan. The Foreign Office is totally silent on the matter. And in previous cases, 2007, 2008, I've checked with the High Commissioners in Pakistan at the time to verify what I'm saying, when there were intercepts suggesting ISI and Pakistani involvement in terror against India. And specifically in the case of the Kabul embassy, we lodged vociferous protests.
Yes.
Simply on the basis of those intercepts, and we did it immediately.
Let me try to explain the government's position. The government has the security agencies which are alert, trying to prevent any kind of attack on India. There are security alerts coming, not just from Indian sources, but from outside, that such attempts are being made. So I'm not surprised that our intelligence picked up something and acted on the basis of that. Right? Now, was the government wrong in doing that? Was the government certain about it? No. But their job is to find out.
The point you're circumventing is how come we haven't protested to Pakistan? How come the Foreign Office is silent?
We protest to Pakistan if there's an act of commission. We have not established an act of commission. A boat strayed into Indian maritime waters was intercepted.
But what about the fact that the people on the boat were in touch with the Pakistan army? Yeah. That's been declared by the minister.
That's intelligence intercepts.
But we reacted to intercepts in 2007, 2008 and publicly lodged protests.
Because a terrorist act was committed. In this case, no terrorist
act. It was averted.
No, it was averted, but it was not committed.
But we have proof that they wanted to commit it, or we claim we do.
You can't protest to the Pakistanis that a ship was in touch with the intelligence agency. You haven't got evidence which you can prove in a court of law.
Let me raise with you something else, Ajay Shukla, and this is perhaps the flip side, but it's equally curious. Beyond denying that a Pakistani boat was involved and beyond describing this whole issue as a hoax by India, the Pakistan Foreign Office has not responded to the claim made by the minister yesterday that the people on the boat were in touch with the Pakistan army. In fact, this evening, the Pakistan Foreign Office has issued a statement and they haven't made any comment about this allegation by Mr. Parikar. Now, isn't that also equally strange?
Well, I can only say that the Pakistani Foreign Office establishment, the security establishment there, must be watching this tamasha and seeing the Indian government tie itself in knots with one set of public statements to India, but with no corresponding allegations or protests lodged to Pakistan. They must be really enjoying the spectacle. But I think what is also important over here is the point that both China NC and one of your other guests have made, which is that we should not be questioning Mr. Parikar, we should only be questioning the Pakistani government because of the past record. The fact is, everybody but everybody knows that the Pakistani government lies through its teeth, that it supports terrorist activities across India. That's not new and that's not in dispute. But when we as Indians start arguing like Pakistanis that you can't question the security establishment, this is related to do with the security of the Indian state, and that anybody who questions them is acting anti-national in some way, I think that's a sad day. I think we have to question the Indian government on this score.
All right. I'm glad you've made that point, because in a sense that is the raison d'etre and explanation for why we're holding this discussion today. It's being done in the greater interest of the Indian people who want to know the truth, who want an explanation for the way in which the minister made his revelations.
May I just add one quick point?
I'm coming to you, in fact. I'm coming to you, Shaina, and the basis in evidence. The point I want to put to you, Shaina, is the one that in a sense I was putting to Mr. Mansingh a moment ago. We're in a sort of paradoxical situation. The minister has publicly connected an alleged terror incident, which no doubt was averted, with the Pakistan army, but no protest has been lodged by the Indian government with Islamabad or with Islamabad's High Commissioner in Delhi. We haven't made any protest with any foreign government either. And it seems to me that there's a mismatch between what the minister has revealed and the way the government has responded and acted.
Let me answer that very frankly. I mean, what response are we going to get by Pakistan? They are always in denial mode. They never accept. And if at all, one would do that when you're absolutely certain about the case. There are areas of grey, and the Honourable Minister, Mr. Parikar, has said on record that this is absolutely a speculative story vis-a-vis certain areas, and we will come to the logical conclusions in the next couple of days, which will be available as information under the public domain to one and all.
I hate to interrupt you, but your explanation adds to my concerns, which is why I'm interrupting you. As you said, and I'm quoting you, the minister said this is an absolutely speculative story. Those were your precise words. If it is absolutely speculative, but you said it.
Speculative areas of a story. The speculative areas of the story vis-a-vis whether this was a terror attack or whether this was somebody who was involved with the Pakistan army, and if we cast
precisely, you're elaborating the point I wanted to make. If this is absolutely speculative about the Pakistan army contact being established,
to say that all of which will be revealed under the public domain.
You know, you're making my point for me. if it's absolutely speculative, particularly about the contact with the Pakistan Army officer or Jawan, then should the minister have gone public at this stage? If it's absolutely speculative, shouldn't you wait until you get better
If you
proof?
have $1 billion, if the speculation is not all on the part of the government. There's a lot of speculation vis-a-vis common citizens who are wondering what had happened. And the fact is that whether they are terrorists or whether the Pakistan army is involved, both of them are serious situations for India. Our government is determined to resolve and to arrive at a logical conclusion.
And no one disputes the government's resolve. No one disputes the government's determination. That's not a question. That's not a question. No one's questioning the government's resolve or the minister's credibility. I'm actually questioning whether he did the right thing by making public what China herself says is absolutely speculative as a story. That's the point I'm making.
Well, the point is the minister can't avoid it if he's asked a question.
In the story.
Well, no, just a moment. The minister actually was talking to reporters and revealing information himself.
That's right.
Up till then, it was not in the public domain that the people on the boat had contacted the Pakistan Army. All that was known is that they had contacted the Pakistan Maritime Security Agency, which is a different thing.
Right.
The minister revealed this. Now, he didn't have to.
Okay. So far, the story is he said they are probable terrorists. We are conducting an investigation and the truth will come out. I think we should let it rest at that.
But is it
if the truth is otherwise, the truth is otherwise.
All I'm saying is, won't this then affect India's relationship with Pakistan? Although curiously, as I pointed out, the Pakistanis are silent and haven't responded. They are not protesting. But won't this affect the relationship?
No. The story here is an attempt was made and an attempt was averted. I think that's the end of the story. If they had succeeded in coming to India, if an incident had taken place, all that you suggest would have taken place. Would have protested to the Pakistanis, told them we have intercepts, we've nabbed them in right time. We're going to.
So there's nothing wrong in going public with speculative information that's not confirmed.
Because there is nothing more concrete to offer to the public.
Ajay Shukla, a last question. The minister's entire theory or belief, I'm not sure which is the correct word to use in the circumstances, that the people on the boat were terrorists and that this was not a smuggling operation but a terrorist-related operation, hinges on two facts. One, that the people on the boat committed suicide, and secondly, that the route they were taking is not a normal fishing route. On that point about committing suicide, how convinced are you that they committed suicide, or do you go by what a 3-star admiral told you in the story you wrote for the Business Standard on Sunday, that perhaps the boat caught fire because one of the warning shots fired by the Coast Guard boat hit the fishing vessel and set it alight? Which do you go with? Suicide, or they were in fact set aflame because they got into the line of fire of the Coast Guard?
Well, if I was to choose between these two options, I would certainly say that the possibility that the boat was set alight by firing from the Coast Guard vessel is the more likely possibility. A, it's difficult to set a diesel boat alight. B, if there were explosives on the boat, as the government sort of hints, they would have been more likely to explode the explosives and blow everybody up rather than set the boat alight, which is a difficult process in any case. But I think there's one more last point that I'd like to leave you with, and that is that an operation that was launched at 12 hours notice, based by the sounds of it and by the narrative that has come out so far on lightning action, for proof to be presented, it is taking 7 days. The only question I can ask is, how much longer is it going to take for the proof to come out and come before us?
Shana, see, I want to leave you the last word. I'm going to quote to you something the minister said yesterday. My interpretation is that Pakistan is trying to divert attention after what happened in Peshawar. Now, given that that horrible incident in Peshawar actually has brought Islamabad the sympathy of the world, and secondly, it's established that Pakistan is also a victim of terror, why would Pakistan want to divert attention from it? It actually suits Pakistan for that attention to continue.
Well, All I would like to say is that Pakistan has been involved in so many terror activities vis-a-vis India that I wouldn't put past any of the thoughts of the Honorable Minister, because I believe that whether it is a terror attack or whether the Pakistan Army is involved, both are equally bad. The fact that we had our intelligence systems in place is the idea I would like to focus on, or the area I would like to focus on, because if it weren't for our intelligence agencies, we wouldn't have even been able to highlight this story.
Perfectly good answer, but it's not the answer to the question I asked you. That's the only thing I'll point out. A very good answer, and one as a spokesman that will give you great credit with your defense minister, but it's not the answer by any shape of imagination to the question I asked you, but then it's your prerogative not to answer my question. I'll just point out that it's not an answer. I'm going to end this particular story there. My thanks to my guests, but I want to point out, in case anyone has misunderstood, we're not questioning the minister's credibility, not by any means. What we are questioning is the basis on which he made the revelation, because we want to know what facts there are. We're also questioning the manner in which he made it, because he seems to have done it rather casually, and that surprised people. And finally, whether he was right to do so, because if his information is still speculative, as Shaina NC repeatedly said, then should we be going public, particularly when this sort of detail could have implications for the relationship India has with its neighbors, not just Pakistan. That's why we decided this was a story worth doing. My thanks to my guests.